Tomorrow's primary elections: New Jersey, Mississippi, Iowa, New Mexico, Montana, California, all in red there on your screen. Heading to the polls tomorrow there to cast their votes for the primary elections. Here to break it all down, former Arkansas governor and former presidential candidate Mike Huckabee. Governor, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on today. We do appreciate that. And obviously, Sarah Huckabee Sanders had a victory as well. I'm sure that was a proud moment for you.
Well, it really was. I mean, she barely squeaked out the victory with just under 84% of the vote in the primary. I'm really proud of her. That's a significant win. I think even more significant is that if you took all the votes from 5 Democrat and 2 Republican candidates and combined them, she got 65% of all the votes cast for governor in the primary. So it bodes well for her. But she also knows the old maxim of politics. There's only 2 ways to run: unopposed or scared. So she's going to be fighting hard, working hard, and taking nothing for granted leading into November.
We will follow those midterms closely, and I want to talk about that. Primaries now here in Pennsylvania. As you know, this was a fight to the bitter end here. McCormick concedes to Mehmet Oz in GOP's Pennsylvania Senate primary there. Your thoughts on this? Dr. Oz pulling out a win as McCormick concedes after that recount.
Well, full disclosure, I'm a friend of Dave McCormick and supported him. But that election has been decided, and the people of Pennsylvania have spoken, ever so narrowly, but they have spoken. And Dave McCormick and all the other Republican candidates hopefully will rally behind Dr. Oz and make sure that that seat goes to the Republican. It's a Republican seat now. It needs to stay that way. It's an important part of us getting the majority in the Senate and hopefully in the House as well. And if we don't do that, we're in for a world of hurt, another 2 years of deep misery with the Democrats in control of everything, who seem to have lost their minds when it comes to policies, whether it's energy or inflation or border security. They have no clue as to what they should be doing, and Americans are suffering because of it. So that's why I hope people do not sit this one out. 2022 needs to be a year where people recognize elections have consequences, to quote Barack Obama. That's one thing he was right on, and we need to realize that going into this one.
And Dr. Oz had the backing of President Trump. In fact, Trump threw out a slew of endorsements, as you well know. I'll show you this headline. It says here, Trump endorses Kevin McCarthy, strong and fearless. This comes as some Republicans are suggesting others for the position, including Liz Cheney, to become Speaker of the House instead. I'll play this for you. I'll get your response. Here's that moment.
If the Republicans win back the House, do you think McCarthy should be Speaker?
I'm not going to answer that one right now. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And what about Liz Cheney?
I think she'd be a great Speaker.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think she's a real Republican. I think she is very conservative, and I think she's a fearless leader.
McCarthy, Scalise, now Cheney mentioned here at some point along the years. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I really can't imagine that Liz Cheney will be reelected in Wyoming. I just think she has betrayed her party. She participated in becoming a stooge of Nancy Pelosi. I don't see a future for her in the Republican Party because she's chosen not to have one. I'm not saying you got to go along with everything that is thrown at you as a Republican, but you don't go out there and intentionally try to upend your own party and its leadership and rebel against everything they stand for, and then surrender your will to the most radical leadership on the far left with Nancy Pelosi. It's just ridiculous. And she should never have accepted that position as being one of 2 Republicans who just went ahead and said, okay, Nancy Pelosi, we want to play so badly that we'll do it even though it violates the very rules of the process that was set up.
Governor, if I can, I got just about a minute left with you. I wanted to get your take on what is happening with legislation in terms of gun laws. This is back in the headlines now, specifically Democrats calling for assault ban weapons, high-capacity magazine bans, heavier background checks, red flag laws, etc. Even some going as far as to wanting to tax I believe, AR-15s 1,000%, I read from one Democratic lawmaker, to make it even more difficult. But bottom line is a Second Amendment issue. It seems like Democrats, Republicans can't seem to be in lockstep with each other in terms of what to do about guns, if there is anything to do. What are your thoughts on the matter?
Well, Democrats always say we got to do something, but they never tell us how the something they propose will prevent a mass shooting or whether it will keep us from seeing this thing over and over again. I think Republicans are reasonable. We want to make sure that this doesn't happen. Well, what's the best way? Is there some common denominator? It seems to be young men who don't have supportive fathers, who grow up angry, and those kind of mental health issues are not caught. Maybe that's where the focus ought to be. But the one thing that is being proposed is raising the age to 21 for someone to buy a high-powered rifle. I'm not especially opposed to that, but here's what I would wonder. If Democrats think that young men at 18 aren't capable of having good judgment to buy a rifle, but at 21 they are because they're more mature, then how do Democrats explain when they're 5 years old, those same young men ought to be able to pick their gender? This is the irrational nature of the far left's proposals. And so they just don't make good sense. And I want them to say, look, here's what we want to do. Here's how it will fix things. I'm open to that. But they better come up with some better arguments than the ones they've come up with so far.
Former Governor of Arkansas and former presidential candidate Mike Huckabee joining us live here. Governor, good to see you. Thank you so much for taking time for our viewers this morning. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much.